And welcome back to JKLIVE live on the road here at the United Nations headquarters in Manhattan, New York City. That's the backdrop, the United Nations General Assembly right there. My guest today, special guest, Kenya's Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs and International Relations, Dr. Monica Juma. It is cold, it is freezing in November. And guess what? Cabinet Secretary has given me her coffee. Imagine that. That's very kind of you, by the way. We'll share it, okay?
We are a kind people, you know. Sharing
is caring. Yes. So, Dr. before the break, there's a phrase that keeps going over and over again at the launch and going forward. Kenya is a safe pair of hands. What does that mean?
Well, it means a number of things. It means we are tested. You know, tested in terms of delivery on peace and security. We have over time evolved a peacemaking doctrine, you know, and you can go back to the first United Nations peacekeeping mission to the DR Congo. Kenya was one of the 3 countries that contributed troops, and from that time to today, we've contributed upwards of 40,000 men and women across the world. So we are tested, and we have produced excellent commanders, excellent officers that have delivered peace, have delivered security across the world. Today, we are sitting with a big contingent into AMISOM in Somalia. Again, having helped a country that was in dire straits come back. You know, we had a long Baghdadi process that started in Eldoret, you know, after the collapse of the peace process in Atta in Djibouti. And we underwrote that peace negotiation. We witnessed the creation of the government. We escorted that government to Baidoa and finally to Mogadishu. So we are tested. This is what it means. But it also means that we are able to build bridges, you know, and we are able to forge consensus among big global issues. I will tell you, Jeff, we have been at the heart of negotiating some of the most complicated and important documents of the United Nations. For example, you will know that we co-chaired the intergovernmental negotiations that produced the SDGs. It was our PR for a period of 3 years, painstakingly building consensus and agreement around this. And not long ago, you remember in November last year, we convened the first high-level meeting on blue economy. Again, painstaking work, because we are looking ahead and bringing everybody on board to agree on an agenda that impacts the entire of humanity. So this is who we are. We are consistent, we offer trust, you know, which is very important for multilateralism. So we know how to build bridges, and we are going, as one of our 10 points, you will see, is to help build bridges. Within the Council itself, we intend to build stronger bridges between the permanent members and the non-permanent members. We intend to build bridges between the Security Council, make them stronger, and the African Union Peace and Security Council, between the Council and the EU, between the Council and the regional peace and security architecture. Why so? Because history has told us when we work together, when we have the same definition of the problem, we are likely to have the right solutions and to deliver effective peace and security. So we are tested, we are consistent, we are trusted, and we intend to bring all this value to the Council.
So is this Kenya's moment? Is that what you're saying? Because when you look back, first time Kenya was a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council was 73, 74.
Correct. 20
plus years later, 97, 98, again. 20 plus years later. So every is that like a cycle? Is that what it, or is it just?
Well, you know, we are told history repeats itself, you know. So we hope it is part of that repeating itself. But in the interim, even in the interim of those 20 years, it is critical to look at what has been going on. And what has been going on has been building the competencies, has been amassing the experience. And so we believe that we are at a place that we can grow the value of the Council in terms of a nuanced understanding of the the environment in which we are at, and particularly our Horn of Africa environment. This is an environment that is very dynamic. It's an environment that is attracting a lot of interest and attention, and I think it's a region that requires focused attention. So we believe that we'll be able to bring the world's premier decision-making institution on peace and security to focus on a region that has huge opportunities, but that could have huge portfolio of risk, not just for the region, but for the world.
So what do you tell the critics who say, you know what, they just want to be a part of this prestigious 15-member group? That's all you want to be. What do you tell those critics?
We want to contribute at the premier decision-making body on peace and security because we consider this to be an important enabler of achieving development in the world. And that is why, Jeff, we have themed our campaign as peace and security for sustainable development. We believe there is a critical nexus between peace and security and development. You cannot achieve one without the other, and you cannot sustain one without the other. So this is why we have themed this campaign in that way.
Yeah. Before the break, I asked you the two questions: best case scenario, worst case scenario, between now and June.
Best case scenario is that the council gets good value. And we believe we have that good value. There's only a best case scenario and a best case scenario.
There's no worst case?
No.
You're that confident, or you...
Listen, Jeff, this is a campaign. We are ready for the campaign, and we believe that we are bringing the best value to the world. We also believe that there is a framework for assessing that value, and that the membership of the United Nations will be looking for us to give that value.
And what if some of the permanent members, what if they feel, you know what, maybe it's not Kenya's time, maybe not this time, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. How do you convince the 5 permanent members who are, who have a lot of sway, if you will? How do you convince them?
I think all the 5 permanent members of the council are desirous to have a peace and secure environment. We believe that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. The other 2 non-permanent members from Africa just happen to be Francophone. I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but Tunisia, Niger, Francophone. Djibouti, Francophone. Help me understand this, Dr. Ari. What's going on here?
I think in determining the membership and the representation from the African Union, we consider each other as equal members, and everybody that comes to the council is mandated to act in the interest of the continent. So we do not pay a lot of attention to is it Francophone, because the mandate is an African mandate. And when you come to the council, it is the expectation that your eyes will be fully focused on the entire of the African continent challenges on peace and security.
Yeah. Some people say, you know what, you cannot compare Kenya with Djibouti. And again, the track record you laid out, you cannot compare what Kenya has done and what Djibouti has done. So this should be a foregone conclusion.
Jeff, the basic principle and the cardinal principle in terms of our membership to the African Union is that we are all equal member states. There is not a small or a big member state, and that is why that argument is faulty. There is not a big country and a small country. Everybody has one vote, and it is weighted the same way. So our contribution is important. Any other country's contribution is important. We are going to put ourselves there as Kenya because we believe we have a portfolio that would add value to the council, and we want to be judged on that portfolio.
Have you ever lost a vote?
To the council?
Yes.
No.
This is why you're taking this position.
Well, facts speak for themselves. I would prefer that the facts speak for themselves.
And facts are stubborn.
And facts are stubborn. But, Jeff, just to say this, we believe that we are capable, we are willing, and we are able to serve the world within the UN Security Council. And so my coming to New York was to deliver a statement about our intention of how we view the world, how we intend to add this value, and fundamentally, without taking anything for granted, to call upon all the 193 member states to give us their comfort, to give us their confidence so that we can serve. I ask for every member to consider us, to vote for us, to support Africa, because Africa has spoken by voting Kenya when we come to June 2020. And so my message is that we are ready to serve. We are able and willing to serve. We are coming to New York as the African Union endorsed candidate, and that we urge the world to support the African continent. Because as you probably know, Jeff, 75% of the agenda of the United Nations Security Council focuses on African issues. So the decision of Africa must count for something in our view. And so we are very pleased and very grateful that, having considered all facts, Africa saw it fit to endorse Kenya to be its candidate for 21-22.
Your turn for coffee.
Thank you, Jeff. But is there anything?
No.
Remember, I said
yes.
Sharing is caring, you know.
Before we go to break, Dr. Ari, let me ask you this. How crucial are the next 2-3 years when you look at the picture? When you look at Africa in the next 2-3 years, how crucial is that picture?
You know, we just went into the second phase, into the implementation phase of the African Continental Free Trade Area, after it was ratified in Niamey. The promise of the CFTA hinges on the ability to have an environment to grow the volume of trade amongst African countries. And that is why, even within the agenda of the African Union, 2020 has been designated as the year of silencing the guns. You know, so attainment of peace and security on the African continent is crucial for the rest of the prosperity agenda of the African continent. So it is absolutely essential. And so we hope that when the vote comes in June, and when we are given that mandate, we can very quickly begin to prepare ourselves for really adding the value that I'm talking about, because we must focus close attention to creating the enabling environment to create a prosperous Africa, and for that our motherland to claim the 21st century as the Africa's continent. Yeah. So yes, the next 3 years, crucial, very crucial.
Thabo Mbeki is the one who said that, right?
Yes.
21st century belongs to Africa.
Correct. And I believe him.
As do I.
Yes.
As do I.
Yes.
So we're going to take a break, come back and talk about your embassies abroad. You're in charge. You're the person in charge of all your embassies abroad. Indeed. Sometimes you send people, let's say, to France who can't speak a word of French. Mm-hmm. Hold on. We have to touch on that. But we have to.
Do you have to have a dig?
We were doing so well, right?
We were doing so well until this point.
Let's talk about that when we come back. You're watching a special edition of Jeff Koinange live on the road. We're at the United Nations headquarters in Manhattan, New York City, and it is freezing.
I know.
I thought it was supposed to be smoking.
No, it is icy.
Jeff Koinange Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment. It is icy.